Hello, my name is Brittany Deigh. I am a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. My divine purpose is to assist in the expansion of the collective consciousness and to help you become more connected with the divine. This is a space to remember all that you truly are and ignite the possibilities of your highest potential. Oh man, this episode is just... some realness. It's really, really hard to accept. I just want to preface with the fact that this is really hard to accept when you are still deep in the suffering and in the pain and in the victimhood. When you're still being abused, like, get yourself away before you can really start to heal. We can't heal in the places that made us sick, right? But as you move through your healing process and you get space for yourself and you begin to heal yourself and you begin to understand the nature of this, illness, you get to a place where you're able to look at it more objectively. And you get to, this is exactly what it is. As you see where the illness poisons you, you see objectively where the illness poisons them. And so the reality is that you probably really love this person. You probably really love these people. And you think that you hate them. You think that you're so mad at them. You think that you're so sick of them and their shit. And they're, being a victim to this thing, them continuously choosing these poor decisions, them continuously, hurting you and taking advantage of you and lying to you and cheating and physical or emotional or mental abuse and neglect. And you hate it and you just, it just brings rage and resentment to your heart, right? You're so angry. And believe me, as someone who dealt with, years and years of emotional abuse and neglect on many levels, I completely understand. And I always hated whenever I would go to Al-Anon meetings and they would say, you have to separate the illness from the person. You have to separate the illness from the person. Oh, it was so triggering. It's probably going to trigger you what I'm saying if you're still ill, if you're still really sick. Because you don't actually hate the person. You love them. That's the problem. If you actually hated them, if you didn't love them, it wouldn't bother you so much. You'd be like, whatever, go be a crackhead on the street. But because you love them, you hate what they're doing to you. And you hear those words, doing to you. That's where the victimhood is. And I said that like that specifically to highlight that because I know what it's like to feel like this is being done to you. This person is abusing me. This person is neglecting me. And granted, there is a level of that in childhood because you don't have a strong free will because this person or these people are your caretakers and you're not 100% in the ability to take care of yourself yet. So there is an extent of childhood abuse and neglect. And believe me, I understand. I experienced it myself. But honestly, once you get older, call it past 18 or whatever, however you want to measure that, once you become of the consciousness to understand how your free will, you have a free will and you can make choices and decisions. If you're participating in it, if this person is still doing this to me, that's your illness. That's where you're still playing a victim. And I say that with so much love. I really, really, really do. But you're not a victim to them. I promise. You're ill, just like they're ill. You're addicted to trying to heal them and trying to help them and trying to fix the situation, or like I know for me, trying to save everybody. I watched my mom trying to save my brother for years. And all she was doing was enabling his addiction and giving him more and more money and more places to stay and more. It drove him deeper and deeper and deeper into the hole and deeper into the illness. And by you participating, that's how you're ill. I remember there's this photo of me. This is insane, guys. There's this photo of me and my brother. He had just met his now wife, who I am so grateful for her existence. That's who I believe truly actually saved my brother's life. She was a gift from God. She was an angel, and he needed something to know that there was really a God, having his back, a literal, real walking earth angel. And they were living together. They had just got together, and he was driving her car. And we went, I don't know, he asked me to come over there for something. I don't know, but he's deep in his use. He's going we're like, quote unquote, hanging out, and he's going in the bathroom and shooting up like over and over and over again. And I'm in not sober I was still smoking and like still had my own addictions, AKA the love addiction of like the fact that I'm even there, but that's what we're about to get into. I still have my own addictions in my own ways. I'm not like really truly on a sobriety path yet. And there's this picture of us. We went to go get something, probably was meeting with his drug dealer, and I just was playing naive. And I took a selfie. I'm in the passenger seat. He's driving the car on heroin. I'm in the passenger seat taking selfies, throwing my peace sign up like, yo, this is my brother, my brother. And my poor brother is covering his face up with a bandana because he's got scabs and shit all over his face from shooting up and picking at himself. And I'm like in a normal, quote unquote, normal state of mind, treating this like it's normal. How fucking sick am I? So sick. I'm like, I'm just going to ignore all of this that's happening. I'm going to ignore this threat to my safety. I'm going to ignore that you're shooting up heroin right now. I'm going to ignore that we're going to your drug dealer's house. I'm going to ignore that you're driving the car and nodding off. And like, I'm going to ignore that you're covered in scabs. I'm going to ignore that your arm is, just shot up to hell. I'm going to ignore all of those things and just be like, I just want to hang out with my brother for the afternoon. So I'm hanging out with my brother. How ill. How incredibly sick. Literally. Like, you don't realize how sick you are until you really and truly start healing and commit to a path of sobriety that you look back and you're like, wow, Brittany, there's like something really wrong with you. I kind of want to dig up and find those photos and just be like, look at myself. Like, what are you doing? And I played a victim to participating in this. Like, I would blame him. I would say, like, it's his fault. He's choosing this addiction and he's ruining our day and he's ruining our time together. And it's like, Brittany, what did you expect? This is what it is every single time you go over there and hang out. What did you expect, honestly? And that's the codependency. That's the enabling. That's the sickness. And I hated the sickness in him because I was sick myself. If I wasn't sick, I wouldn't be there. If I wasn't sick, I wouldn't be making this seem like this is normal and this is cool and this is fine. And I was so irritated by his substance abuse and by his addiction because I was sick myself. I hated this, how the sickness affected me. So I hated seeing how the sickness affected him. I hated how the sickness would ruin our time together. And I always thought when people said that, when they said you got to separate the sickness, I didn't see my brother as sick at that time. I saw that he was choosing, I thought he was just into drugs. Oh God, that statement drives me crazy now. When people are like, oh yeah, he's just into drugs. No, they are sick. It's a spiritual illness, but it is the same as someone that has a broken leg and is stuck bedridden for 2 weeks. It is the same. They are sick. They are ill. They are broken. And only someone that is sick and ill and broken would enable and participate in it like it's normal, like it's cool, like they're not sick. Like we don't need to change this situation. Like there isn't something wrong here. Like I'm not trembled with anxiety right now riding in this car. Instead, I'm taking selfies and acting like it's all good. That's the problem here. If you resonate with this, it's a really big breakthrough if you get to the other side, because when you separate, when you recognize how sick you are and that you actually, like, for example, what I get irritated, I love my mother. My mom is one of the most beautiful human beings that walks this planet. No joke. I mean, she's my mom. Let's be real, guys. But seriously, she is like an impeccable human being. And when I get angry with her and I resent her and I get so mad at how she is with my brother and how she enables him, I'm not mad at her. I'm mad at the sickness. I'm mad at how the sickness is affecting her. Same thing with my brother, seeing him, when he was in his addiction and substance abuse, and then when he's in recovery and not using substances, but still running around like in the same exact energy, doing the same exact things, just like he was in substance abuse, but just the next level up, at least you're not using, I am grateful for that. We don't have to worry about him dying and, overdosing and dying anymore. That's huge. But I get disgusted by how he's still running rampant, because I see that it's the illness running him. And I'm like, oh my God, it drives me crazy. Can't you just break from this? But I'm saying it to myself. I'm so mad that I can't break from this. But you can. And that's what it means to step in the observer and separate yourself. Separate you from the illness. Understand that just like someone that has dementia or someone that has, someone that has the flu, whatever it is, it doesn't, if they are, just because it's a spiritual sickness and you can't track it and you can't measure it and you can't see it, does not mean that it's not still a sickness. And so you have to, I know that it might be really hard to hear and you might not completely understand what I'm saying, but if you just keep healing, you'll get to a point in your journey where you can observe it and you can separate them from the illness. And the less and the less and the less the illness affects you, the more that you heal yourself and how the illness is infecting and poisoning and keeping you trapped, the more and the more and the more you'll be able to observe how the illness is keeping your loved one trapped. It was a very challenging concept for me to accept, and I spent years thinking that this whole AA program and this whole phrase, you got to separate them from the illness, I thought that they were giving addicts an excuse. I was like, nah, he just loves drugs and he's drugged out and he wants to externalize it and put it on this other thing and say, oh, it's, I got to separate. It's the addiction. That's why I'm doing it. It's the addiction. That's what, being a victim to the addiction. But the reality is that when you have the flu, you're sick. You are a quote unquote victim to the flu. You can't get out of it until you get past it. until it's moved through your body. Same thing with addiction, until it's moved through your spirit, until it's moved through your soul. And that may be multiple soul evolutions, just a heads up. This is an intense spiritual illness. But you just got to keep moving forward and unraveling the layers and cleaning and cleansing and getting to the more authentic, genuine soul essence. And that's how you will be able to very clearly see what is the true soul essence and what is the illness, what is the flu. It took me a very, very long time of believing that it was a cop-out to truly understanding how the illness was working me and understanding that this is not a cop-out. This is a legitimate sickness. And just because it's a spiritual illness does not mean it's not as legit as the flu or dementia, etc., etc. So you have to, I know it might be hard to accept, but you have to at some point separate the illness from the person, from the soul. And I'm sure that you can resonate with me when I say that if you didn't get glimpses of the true soul underneath that illness, it wouldn't bother you so much that they used. It wouldn't bother you so much that they drank. You know who they truly are. And that's why it breaks your heart to see that soul being trapped by this illness. And as you heal yourself, you will only help heal this entire illness on a soul, collective, spiritual level. That's why you got to focus on you, and however that may manifest, however that may ripple out and help others is how that may help others. But don't judge yourself, don't shame yourself for how the illness is affecting you. And if you're still judging and shaming others for how the illness affects them, it's because you really, really, really dislike, maybe even go as far to say hate, how the illness is affecting you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and if this was impactful for you at all, please share it with others. This is how we can help each other. Much love and namaste.